Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Courtney. Welcome to my loft in Wicker Park, Chicago. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Courtney Shoudis. I'm a multimedia artist and the founder of Studio EmmJean. Welcome to my loft in Wicker Park, Chicago. I first found this loft in August 2020, where we first moved in August 2020. It was a sublet. I came to view it and I automatically fell in love with it, and I would not leave the landlord alone until I knew that this was going to be our new space. When I first moved in, was a little difficult. Before here, I lived in like a historic landmark by Edgar Miller. It was called the Carl Street Studios. And they were so cool and eclectic, but they were very, very tiny. And so when we first moved into this huge open loft, we only had the smallest furniture that would fit through our 16-inch door from our previous place. So when we first moved in, it was like very overwhelming and very daunting because we literally had furniture for like a little hobbit house, and it took many, many, many years to kind of grow our home into what it is now. It is an open loft, so I have zoned out the areas here. We are in the living room. My favorite part about the living room is actually my chair collection. I have a little bit of addiction to buying really cool, unique lounge chairs. This is the Ekstrom chair. This was the one that's been on my bucket list forever. I love it because I see it as such like a really cool sculptural piece that like really adds to the look and the vibe of this room. I also love the roly-poly. Know that chair is having a moment, but who doesn't love it? And this is probably, everyone always says they don't have comfortable furniture in my house, but I do. This is the Heyday by Blue Dot. It is like, I don't know, being in a hammock when you sit in it, I absolutely love it, but it's very beautiful and gorgeous too. The sofa needed to take a second life on. It's from CB2, and so we decided to add all of the circular pillows just to kind of give it like a second life. All the artwork that you do see in here is by me because my art studio is directly across from me, but we'll get to that later. Getting over to the coffee table, I will style this probably weekly. Basically, the truth is whenever the flowers die is when this is getting restyled. But we did just get new florals, so we have a whole new table. The one thing you'll see the most of on the table is some Gaetano Pesce pieces. I am absolutely obsessed with the artist Gaetano Pesce, so I have a few of his vessels and coasters. I also have a Gaetano Pesce Indian summer vase that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite things. I love doing that because nobody expects it to do that. What I really want to talk about too is one of my favorite pieces in this room. I guess they're all kind of favorites, but is this lamp. I had it commissioned by a beautiful artist named Debbie O'Hara, Left Hand Pottery. And when I sent her photos of what I wanted just like this weird kind of like sculptural to kind of match the Ekstrom chair. And she came back with this, and I absolutely love it. So, you know, I think it's one of my favorite pieces. Actually, when she showed me the video of her creating this, it was epic. So if you have a chance to look at her artwork, I would. You'll see that I kind of have, which I think is unexpected, a Christoph addiction, but there is a lot of Christoph in the home. I love French silver, who knew? This is also Christoph the vase. And I love a weird floral display, kind of Dr. Seuss vibes, but like it makes me happy. And then the last thing I think I would talk about is maybe the abstract rug. It was a gift from Jonathan Y, and I really love anything that doesn't have, I don't know, a straight line to it, anything that just kind of has flow and movement. So yeah, this is our living room. So I have learned when I'm bringing a lot of colorful art in and colorful pieces, I need to kind of bring the room down to anchor the room with the darker pieces of furniture. I've made the mistake of trying to bring in a really bright chair, and it just didn't work. So I try to keep the larger staple pieces as an anchor so that I can continuously bring in, neon pink vessels or orange and yellow floral, or very colorful paintings. I need there to be a grounding at the same time as there being color everywhere. So decorating any area in my house is a challenge because there is no storage. So when you have an open place like this, and I also collect books, I like to collect games, I collect pieces of artwork, you really have to learn to display everything in such a specific way. I probably should have a 1 in, 1 out rule here. Everything that is in the house is very intentional, but because of the lack of storage space, you do have to think about, is it worth bringing in? But also, it's kind of a hard question for me to answer because everything is always changing and evolving, and the rooms are always changing and evolving in our home. So I feel like if there is something I love, I'm gonna bring it in no matter what, because if it inspires me enough to make a change or have a room go somewhere else or bring a different piece of art in, then I know that it belongs in the house. I guess the reason I bring a lot of shapes into this space is I want each vignette or each room to have the same interest as the painting. I want there to be geometric shapes. I want there to be organic shapes. I just want everything in the home to be fun and interesting. And I feel like the sofa doesn't get fun until you add 5 circular pillows onto it. Is it a necessity? No. Do we love it? Yes. Does it need to be there? Yes. I guess that's just kind of how I see all of it. I want your eye to never really get tired. There's always something to go for or play with. I want them all to have a story. I love having the board games be by Jacques Mou. I love having the coasters be by Gaetano Pesci. I love it all having a story, a shape, a movement. I don't know, it makes me happy. It makes me happy when every single little thing is telling a story. I think what made this space really talk to me was during COVID, I was in a big transition with where I was living, where my husband was living. We were separated due to immigration and COVID, and I also had an art studio in the West Loop. And I knew that this space could be a work-live space that I had been looking for. I wanted to bring my studio and my home together. It was starting to feel really scattered, having a home in Montreal and having our home in the city and my art studio. So I wanted to bring the studio into my home. And when I first walked in, honestly, it was such a bachelor pad when I first viewed it. But I could see where I could paint, I could see myself. The windows, it's just a whole wall of windows. I just saw myself painting in here, and I got excited by the possibility of this space. It's a completely open loft, and it was exactly what I was looking for. Because this is one wide open space, I would say that I've decorated it. I will say the art has taken this space over. The art dictates how this space is decorated. So the new paintings or sculpture that come in will take center stage of a room. So directly behind me is the living area. This living area could be a dining room tomorrow. It could be a library tomorrow. If I feel like a sculpture needs to live in a certain part of the house or a painting is too big for one area, I will just switch the whole loft around to give that art a focus and have it breathe and be the centerpiece of a room. So I guess I would say my decorating is constantly changing and constantly evolving because I want the art to be center stage. I really want us to live with the art. So this is our entryway. We're trying to create a different vignette going into the bedroom. So this is where we place our keys, our boxes, our bags when we come in. I try to create as much division as I can so it feels like you're going into a new space and a new room. This mirror I absolutely love because it reminds me of a Brancusi sculpture with the angles on the end. And I think it's a nice division between like entry area, like getting your last look in before you go, and then going over here into our bedroom. So we do use our bedroom as another place to kind of display and view the artwork. I do think that, well, not only for me, but for some of my clients and other people I've worked with, that it does help to see the art living in different rooms and different spaces. I will choose the bedding. Yet again, the art dictates all. I will choose the bedding based on what is being displayed on the walls at the moment. I'm having a stripes moment, so I love to mix the stripes and the colors, but yet somehow they all do just come together and work together, and I really do love that. Another new addiction, bedding, who knew? The cactus lamps are from Jonathan Y, and I just thought that they added just some kind of fun, I don't know, just like a fun little height that I felt like was needed in this room in the moment. I do love Rose Greenberg. So this will make the bed sometimes, depending on what bedding I choose, will be what pillows I do. Right now, this Lulu and Georgia bolster is winning. But yeah, so I will pick the bedding based on the artwork. I do love her. She's kind of been an icon for a little bit above the bed. Usually I don't have a piece live there that long, but she's been going on like 6 months, and that might be her forever home. So I get asked where I keep my clothes all of the time. I do have, now when I say walk-in closet here, that is very generous. I have a smaller walk-in closet, but my landlord who lives above us, I do love him, but this is a rental, does give me the basement for storage. So it's not the most convenient thing, but yes, I will have to switch my clothes out 4 times a year by season. So at least I have a storage space, but it is a little difficult. But you know what? I'd rather be in the open space and have this living arrangement than a closet. So this is what we call our library. It is probably my favorite part of the home besides the studio. I don't know. This is the only piece of furniture that made it from our little Edgar Miller home. This was the size of furniture we were working with when we first moved in here. So when we first moved in here, it was just this sofa right there. So we really have added a lot and like grown into this space. If you can't tell already, or if I haven't spoke about it 17 times already, I am obsessed with collecting rare, used, new, out-of-print art books. In my 20s, I used to work for Marc Jacobs, and they had a bookstore in LA called Bookmark, and that is where my love of books really developed. I got to work there for a few years, and it was one of my favorite jobs, but I think what I really took with me was the love of these books. So we just started getting into, like I said, library curation and curating stacks for Studio EmmJean, and it's something near and dear to my heart. And so this is kind of the incubation or the incubator space that all kind of takes place in. It's just like a really very sweet, great moment to like have your morning tea and dig into any of these different worlds that are being presented to you. And then if I'm having, I'll sketch in here in the mornings also, and if I'm having like a little bit of trouble, I'll be playing with my little blocks here from Jason Home to just like play with the geometric shapes and see if it will like awaken anything. I love these little mushroom lamps from Jonathan Y. They are portable, so if I ever just want to give some kind of like mood lighting at night to this room, it's very, very sweet. My husband really wanted to add a like law light or like library light, and I hated them. So I got the Snoopy because I was like, this is the version of like, you know, that's my library law lamp version. I couldn't do one of the brass ones that I think he really wanted, but he likes it, so it's good. And then the library will continue over into the living area. And I will change these stacks a lot, sometimes based on color, but also sometimes based on theme. I try to have all of these colors work together, but the content of the books to me is more important than if they're always visually appealing. Do I have a favorite one? Yes, I actually have two favorite ones, and they're both on display. This one I just got my hands on. This one, for any book nerd out there, will know that this Henry Miller To Paint Is to Love Again first edition is a hard one, but a good one to find. Also, this Picasso book that I always have on center stage is also a very rare one that we love. And I would say those are my two favorite. I love eclectic design. I'm not an interior designer. I would say I'm an interior addict. I'm drawn to very like contemporary, very abstract. Anything that has a soul to it or makes me feel something is what I bring in. I guess you would probably most likely describe our loft as eclectic. I think that would be the best way to kind of define it. I was a visual director for many, many years for fashion and design companies. And I think creating the branding and the visions for many brands has naturally got me to evolve into art. I was creating windows or stores, pop-ups for a lot of designers. And I started making art in that way, and then it just kind of blossomed and it just kind of took off, and that's how I started Studio EmmJean. I just started creating paintings for the home that I wanted to have, and it just kind of took off. I guess if I did have a design mantra, it would just be, you know, I have learned that if you love something and you bring it into your home, it will work. I don't worry about following any like rules or trying to like fit into any kind of a box when it comes to design. Like if I love something and it makes me happy and it's a little weird or it excites me, like it's coming home with me. And I've just learned that if you love it, it will work in your space. And to not worry about following if it's like a trend or if it's not. Just, it's your home, you live here, love it. So this is our dining room. I feel like this space needs a table this large. My husband is an amazing cook. So I'm very blessed, and the fact that I think in this lifetime he maybe should have been a chef. He is not, but he is at heart. So we do entertain as much as we possibly can. I love having a little dramatic moment for the centerpiece. I used to change the centerpiece a lot more, but I've been really, really stuck on these candelabras from Blue Dot. I don't know, I kind of want to add more in, but right now this is where we're at. I got really lucky with the dining chairs because they are all Facebook Marketplace finds. They're not, unfortunately, the real thing. They are a replica, but you know what? For the price that I got these for on Facebook Marketplace, I will take them. I love them. I just love the silhouette of the chairs. My husband is also a musician in his free time. So we do have a large record collection. Our record collection does vary dramatically because he does produce music. So it is one of the most eclectic record collections. For me, I'm all like garage and psych rock, but for him, it could be soundtracks, jazz, anything that you can even fathom or imagine. He does always put his favorite album or what he's listening to at the moment on display. And right now, that is Beat Conductor. And for all the music nerds out there, you'll know that he probably did that on purpose. This is kind of a relaxing, kind of like when my husband comes home from work, he'll have a glass of whiskey, a record playing. You know, I tried to give him his whole like Mad Men bar cart vibe happening over here. He does not use it as much as I would like him to, but you know, it's there if he ever needs it. And then, like all things you will see in the house, the stacks of books will make themselves a little bit everywhere. These are actually about to leave. These are going to clients soon, but that's kind of like where they'll find their space before they leave. I do want to mention this piece also. This is from another artist in Chicago called Dee Heron from Studio Heron. She does some of the most beautiful like basket weavings. So I really do love that I have a piece from her in this room. I think it brings some color and interest. This is another piece. So I feel like when a painting here is just finished, this is the spot for whatever reason it comes to first. And we live with it for a little bit, and then we'll like kind of know where else in the loft it's gonna go. Right now she's been living here for a little bit. And then another thing living with art is we kind of have her kind of moving and going all around the loft too. Right now she's living in the dining room with us. We love her. She is carbon steel though, so she's very heavy. So we do kind of have to roll her around on her little cart to kind of find her space here. I also do weld and do sculpture, so a lot of my sculptures will come back up north with me and find, you know, a little spot in my home. These lamps are actually from Blue Dot. I do have a lot of Blue Dot in the home. They're a really good design company out of Minneapolis, and I would really check them out if you do not know them. These give off a really beautiful hue, and I just really love how they bring the sculpture into the dining room and how they really illuminate this painting at night. It gives it like a really, really good uplighting, which I really like. Continuing on from Blue Dot, this is actually another Blue Dot piece that I added in that I really love. This guy kind of makes his way all over the place in the house, which I really like. I also like that it can just be a side table if I want to take the leather pad away from it. So the bar cart, like I said, was me trying to create like the whole like Mad Men moment for my husband when he came home from work, but he's definitely a little bit more simple than I am. So like, you know, but if he does need a beautiful martini or, you know, any kind of mixed cocktail, then we will bring the barware out. Christoph will make a little like appearance here again. I've weirdly gotten into like 80s crystals. Like you'll see these crystal vases and crystal like ice buckets mixed in. And do you guys want to see like the tackiest, most amazing silver find that I just got at the flea market? Like, why does this exist? But we love that it does. So I have her kind of hidden at the bottom. But when we do have a dinner party or something like that, it is kind of fun to bring out these like, I don't know, really like ostentatious loud pieces. At least I think so. But yeah, so I've been really into crystal and silver, and that's kind of the whole look I'm trying to give here. But everything is usable, you know, and when we do a tablescape or we're doing cocktails with friends at night, they will get used. We want this to be like an open, fun home for everyone. So the dinner parties can be casual, but I like a theme. So I will kind of theme it based on either a movie or the dish we're making or, you know, whatever it is. But really the heart of it will be based on what he's cooking and what he's making, and then I will match the table for what he's created. But I tried to keep it as relaxed as possible. I just care that you come with a good heart, and that's it. Everything else doesn't matter. The rest, we can bring the show, it's fine. I feel like you see them in everyone's home these days, but this is the extra large hay lamp from Design Within Reach. And I actually have two of them. I do have the one above the dining, and I do love it because I have put in the like Bluetooth multicolor bulbs. So this will at night match the artwork or the vibe. Like it was blue 2 nights ago, it was red the other night, like yet again, changing it up with colors. And I just added the sister to it to above the table in the kitchen. So I have 2 major inspirations, which like to this day surprises me because I grew up like a punk rock kid. And my 2 major inspirations these days are Kelly Wearstler and Martha Stewart. So like, it's funny for me to like say that out loud these days, but I would say my biggest like design inspiration is definitely Kelly Wearstler and Martha Stewart because I love a tablescape. I love a pretty scene. So those would be my top 2 inspirations. I think that my favorite thing about my home is that it's constantly evolving. And I like that it doesn't feel like there is a finish line that I'm ever gonna get to here. Because I have the freedom to change the rooms at any moment or, you know, flip my studio over to this side because I want sunlight or, you know, change my dining room to a different room, that would be my favorite part. So on the other side of the sculpture, we are going to walk into my husband's studio space. And I think the perfect person to maybe talk about that is Ravi himself.
Hi everybody, I'm Ravi, and this is my office space. I'm an attorney by trade, but also a music producer as a hobby, and this is the collection of music equipment that I've gathered over maybe 10, 15 years of doing production. As of here, we have a reel-to-reel tape recorder, my favorite books on existentialist philosophy continued over here, and we have a very special chess set, a Soviet-era chess set. Me and Courtney used to play chess all the time while we were in Paris and kept the tradition alive since. And this is actually the chess set that I proposed Courtney's hand in marriage with. We also have a litany of cookbooks. I'm a big chef, love cooking for my wife. So we tend to test things out on a weekly basis. And this is my meditative chair with my ashtray.
So the painting is from my series called The Passing of Time. It is a series that I do 1 painting per season. It's almost like a journal entry of what either I'm going through in life or what I'm reading. There'll be a lot of literary influences that are woven into the painting itself. This painting is from summer 2020. The opposite of fire is no fire, and this is the one painting you said you always wanted above your desk because it is very sentimental to us, because this is also the summer that we did get proposed, which goes back to the chess set. And so this is one of my favorite paintings, but I do love that it will always live above his desk space or his office or wherever he feels like he wants it to be. How we met is actually a very, very funny story. I met my husband on a 1-800 number. So
I used to work for a company back in Montreal. It was a software company, and Courtney's former employer was a client of ours, and
so every time I needed the 1-800 IT help, I would get this very deep voice and I would recognize it. And we literally got to know each other through me having to call in for IT help. But what is really beautiful and magical was he told me that he was going to law school in Chicago. And I was like, oh my God, you should hit me up when you're here, not thinking he actually ever would. But then he did.
Yeah.
And now we are married. And yes, guys, I married the 1-800 IT guy.
Still supporting to this day. She probably fell in love with my voice. And yeah, we eventually met up in Chicago about a month and a half after I sent her my Chicago number. I had thought, for all intents and purposes, that I was ghosted. Until I received a spontaneous text message one Saturday morning. And
That's that.
yeah, that's that. That's the Mapples. Thank you for seeing my office space. I'd love to stick around, but I have to go and defend the law. So I will let Courtney take over for the rest of the tour.
Okay, have a good day.
Love you.
Bye. And this is going into the kitchen. We just added this table in. This is probably the most recent thing we did. We didn't have an island, so we wanted something that we could use as an island to entertain with, but to also like prepare dinner with. I will always have a little tablescape or a little moment going during the day. This is the Martha Stewart addiction. This is where this comes into play. Today we have some treats from the Bakery Loba here. I just like to always have a moment for me or Ravi or for anyone who's over to kind of just grab a little treat or just have something for the guests that do come over. These plates are from a good and dear friend of mine who makes them and hand paints them. His name is Aaron Fisher with Facture Goods. I will try to use his plates as much as I can because they are little pieces of artwork. Over here in the center of the table, I did not lie to you earlier when I said I do have a bit of a Christoph addiction. These are my favorite piece by Christoph. They're called the Mood Eggs. They actually do hold all of our silver and our flatware. And I have added on, because my husband does like to cook a lot of different meals from all over the place. So like, do we need silver chopsticks? No, but do I love them? Absolutely. So I also think that they make a really fun and beautiful centerpiece. So we do love those. And then these are my newest kind of addition too. These salt and pepper shakers are from Hem. They remind me of Beetlejuice, so like I had to have them because that's what will happen. I'll be like, oh, they look like Beetlejuice. I need to own them. The other thing about this kind of centerpiece setup that I love are actually the geometric stools that I found. I really wanted the Herman Miller ones, but they were just out of budget. So these were the closest that I could find to give me the look that I wanted. And I don't mean to get more cheese, but like they also look like little chess pieces to me, and I love that. And so in the morning when we do play chess together and kind of have coffee or our treat, I don't know, I kind of feel like it just brings that all together for us. So I love them. And maybe one day I'll get the Herman Miller ones, but right now, these ones I love, and they do what I want them to do. I love this home. I love our space, but it is a rental. And with a rental, I unfortunately have the doomed, hated white refrigerator. And if you know why I'm pointing this out. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't want to cover it. I don't want to make it something else. We rent, it's a white refrigerator. So instead, I expanded on the whiteness of the refrigerator. I'm trying to like give it its own vibe, but you know, sometimes you're just stuck with it. But yeah, this isn't really my world. This is kind of more Ravi's world, but it is just like it is a good kitchen, but if we owned, I would have scrapped this whole thing. But I'm just trying to make it as fun as I can while we are in this space. My favorite dish, and he might be annoyed that I'm gonna say this is my favorite dish, but him and his mother knows that this is hands down my favorite dish. I think his mom still makes it better, but he's a good runner-up. They make these grape leaves that are just they warm your soul the second you eat it. It's so much effort. It is beautiful to watch them roll them and create them. The aroma of the house, it's just, it tastes like home. It's just home cooking. It like feeds the soul. And anytime I go to see his mother, or anytime it's like we're having a moment and we can roll all those grape leaves, we will do it. That is by far the best meal. I will say the best part about the kitchen, however, despite the white refrigerator, is that it is open to the dining room. We're in close proximity. So when we are having people over or we're having a family meal, we do create a whole atmosphere together. So we can have some of the table placed here, some of the table placed there, the cocktails right there. it is very nice and cohesive to kind of always have this be part of whatever is happening. I think what gives a home a soul is I really do believe that you should walk into the home and automatically know who that person is. That is a trending TikTok saying, I know, but I think it's one of the truest statements. I want someone to come into this home and know who I am, and I think you can. I think you understand who I am just the second that you walk in. From the kitchen, we go directly into my art studio. It is the center of the home. It's my center of the home. It is about like 200 square feet, give or take a little bit, maybe a little bit more. I'm really bad at square footage, but that's kind of the feeling that I have in it. I love being able to have this here. However, it is hard sometimes to have the chaos of an art studio in the center of your home. I have since learned to live with it. I have learned all the tricks. However, this will always be a shoes only home because I do stretch my own canvas, I do make my own frames, and I do all of that here. So there will be moments that I do push this all the way out, and if I'm preparing for a show or I'm preparing a lot of pieces, this space will definitely make its way out. It will swell. At the moment, I am working on smaller pieces, so it's kind of contracted and it's taking the space that it is right now. I will have multiple pieces going at a time, and this is just kind of my happy spot and my chaos. So I only use oil paint. I am an oil painter. I will use some oil-based water paints also, but everything that you're seeing here is oil. I do also do sculpture, but I do not do sculpture on site here. I do have a secondary studio for that. I do paint a lot of the female figure. I'm always contemplating and questioning the female experience, what it is to be a woman, what it is to live in that experience. So you will see most of my work being directed and aimed towards that. So these paintings are from my newest series that I'm working on. They're very heavy in the patterns and colors. This is a 48 by 60. This is only one layer done. I will do a secondary layer on it, but because it is oil paint, I am waiting for them to dry, and then I will go in on a second time and kind of bring more color and life to it, which is what this is just getting ready to have its second layer done. I've been going like heavier into the florals these days and the colors with the bodies and the snakes. And like I said, this is gonna go back to all of my art is exploring the female experience. This is just kind of my really messy work spot. This is where I'm gonna be mixing the paints. This is where I'm gonna be doing my color swatches, my sketchings. I wish that this could be pretty, but it's not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be messy. It's, what's meant to, this is a workspace. It's meant to kind of be a little chaotic, and, it is what it is. But I do love having it in the center of our home. I guess if I had any tips for anyone that was starting out in their art career I have so many tips, but the number one thing is to just do it and to not care what anyone thinks. Like, we're all artists, we can all express ourselves in any way we want, and do not care about what anyone is saying externally. Like, we're here to create, we're here to make these things. For me, I'm trying to understand my female experience. You might be trying to understand a different experience, but like delve into art and just do it, and don't care what anyone thinks. Just keep making it. And the way that art opened up for me was insane. I didn't seek out to be an artist or a painter. I wanted to be a writer. But I just started painting the paintings that I wanted to see in my home, and then it just grew, and then I was expressing so many different versions of myself through painting, and I didn't even know that that was something I was capable of doing. It just kept happening. So my advice to everybody is just do it, and it will shock you how far it opens up. The reason I chose this spot, and I have moved it once before and then moved it right back to this spot, is because I actually have the light flooding in from both spots. So I have it coming in from this way and this way. And so it's kind of been, I mean, there's nothing better than painting in natural light. So it's been the best spot to place it. Another part in the studio that I like is a lot of my finished work will kind of go over here. But I do have some of the sculptures here at home with me. So like I said, I do also work with steel sculptures. And what's really cool about these sculptures is they're actually painted in automotive paint. I grew up in a mechanic shop and a body shop as a kid on the south side of Chicago. So as a kid, I learned how to use automotive paint, how to weld, how to work on cars, and that has translated into my art. So these sculptures are very, very near and dear to me. These I did as a collaboration with the Michelin-starred restaurant Esme. I think what they do is really cool. They will take an artist and create a 12-course menu based on the artwork that they're collaborating the menu with. I worked with them for the Spring 2022 menu. Jenner Tomaska is the chef of Esme. He is a genius in how he brings together every aspect of the meal with the art and the artists themselves. You guys, it's a really beautiful experience. So if you are in Chicago, I would definitely check it out. Actually, they have a bar Esme. They just created a cocktail based on this painting behind me. And they still do have some of the tabletop sculptures I created for them on display with that cocktail. So I feel like it's a really cool experience. And if you have a chance, you should really check out Esme. The word home to me would just mean, I don't want to be too cheesy here, but like where I live with my husband. Like we have lived in multiple homes, and whether it be from, you know, we started at like, no joke, maybe 400 square feet, so now living in almost 2,000 square feet, it's him, you know? We have created so many different variations of homes, and that's the only place, that's what is home to me. Thank you so much for coming and seeing my loft, Homeworthy, but I'm finished. It's time for me to go back to the studio, so thank you for visiting, but it's time to go.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.